All right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome today to one of the most powerful coffee, tea, you and me sessions that I have been blessed to produce. I have got some powerfully engaging, wonderful people backstage that I want to share with you. This panel, I tell you what, it's just full of just action and just wonderful, kind people. Some of the best I've ever had a chance to play with and enjoy and be a part of their lives or their experiences. So I'm looking forward to sharing with them with you a little bit later. Today's topic is going to be super exciting. Today we're talking about the fifth of the five elements of perfect presentation. If you've been paying attention to what we've been talking about over the last few weeks, we started talking about how you open up a presentation and make it really super engaging. How do you get the audience started with some great benefit statements? How do you get them motivated to pay attention to the things that you're saying and the things that you're developing right up front? And then how do you move them into a wonderful story that's full of drama and ways for them to connect emotionally to what you're presenting, no matter what it is you're presenting? You learn through the first couple of elements how important it is to draw the audience in, to make them feel, to open them up, and create empathy for the character that you're talking about in your story. And then you show them, how the hero comes in to save the day and who the hero is and who the hero is not in any presentation that you give. You learn some very valuable lessons that as you're telling the story, you're not the hero because your moment is coming later on. And then we've learned about the next element, which is trying to make sure that people understand the vision that you may have for what they could do with the story that you just told, the presentation you just gave. So they now know how to get engaged, they know how to get involved, they felt comfortable with the information and they're ready to go, they're excited and motivated. Now they want to know and they need to know who the storyteller is, who you are as the person that's presenting the information, who you are as the person that's giving the information, what credentials do you bring to the table that's relevant to the information that you just shared. How do you make sure that they recognize the gifts that you have, the talents you have, the capabilities that you have to do the daring do that maybe the character you just talked about may have experienced and dealt with. It's critically important that you do this well. I find time after time again, people give presentations and there is no call to action. There is no invitation. There is no motivating factor that allows people to take what they just shared and connect it with and move them forward. And the recognition piece needs to be a part of every presentation that anybody ever gives. And if you can't figure that out, definitely check out the 5 elements of perfect presentation. It's a great little training module that I put together. Today, we're just talking about making sure that you do the appropriate recognition and how that really goes about. And we're probably going to explore this in so many different ways. And I've got a wonderful panel, a wonderful group of people that are going to be sharing along with us. They're all backstage right now, and I can't wait to introduce you to them. Again, like I said, these are some of the most super powerful people there that I've had a chance to meet. A little homework before we get everything started. If you haven't accepted, liked, enjoyed whatever that is we've had in the past, let me tell you a little bit about this program. Coffee, Tea, You and Me is a program that I started 20 years ago, and I started doing this at local coffee shops. And I landed most recently at the local affiliate of Panera. I can't believe it's been so long since I've been to one. I can't even remember the name of Panera, and I was there like for 7 years. So anyhow, I started the program because as a director of some of the local networking organizations and a leader in a lot of those organizations, as well as the community organizations that I was a part of, the Centerville Community Foundation. I was a chairman of that, and I was a chairman of the Small Business Commission. I'm still the chairman of that for Fairfax County. I found that all of the community service work that I was doing was actually getting in the way of the other work that I had going on in my life. And I felt like, I needed to give 2 hours and just every week and just sit down and let everybody know this is where I am, this is what I'm going to be doing, this is what I'm talking about. Come on out and see me if you have an issue or a thought about anything, and that's the place to catch me. Other than that, I got to charge you my hourly rate. So if you really want to talk to me about something, whatever you want to talk to me about, the time to see me is at Coffee Tea, You and Me. Well, because of COVID-19, obviously the program has morphed into an online program, and we've been doing this since March of 2020. And so we're well into, more than a year of online opportunities to share. We've had the chance to share with thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs now from all over the world. We've taken it from a little local meeting we have in a coffee shop to people that get a chance to participate and grow, from all over the world, which is a beautiful opportunity. So I love, thank you all for your attention, your time, and hopefully we're been able to share some great training and some great information that you could use to grow your business. And as I always used to say back in the day when I did it live, every question is a good question. So if you have a question or a thought, put it in the chat, and if I can reflect on it and share it and grow with it with everybody else, I will definitely do that. I want to try to create an open environment where people feel comfortable, because there's so many environments where we don't. And it doesn't matter. I'm a big believer and supporter of SWAM businesses, anything small, women-owned, minority-owned businesses. I'm all about trying to help them develop more acceptance and more opportunities to grow and share. It's what I love. It's my passion. And this is just another opportunity, another way to express that passion. So having said that, I have a wonderful little branding tool that I want to use with you guys. If you are here for the first time and I haven't had a chance to introduce you to our audience, do me a favor and put your information in the chat. I don't care what it is. If it's your phone numbers or emails or anything you want us to know about yourself or your business, no holds barred. Go ahead and put that information in the chat. We'll share it with everybody. And if I can't introduce you physically this week, I'll definitely make sure I give you a shout out and that kind of good stuff. So tell me where we met, anything that you want to share with our listening audience, feel free to do so. Because if you're an entrepreneur, you have a business out there, we want to support you. Okay. And after these messages, we'll be right back. And I'm going to show you our star-studded panel. I see looks on their faces right now, but you can't. They're amazing people. Here we go. Okay, everybody, welcome back. This is Coffee Tea, You and Me. I am going to introduce to you now our panel one by one, starting with the ladies first. And first and foremost, I want to introduce a fellow coach and trainer, one of them, just the best. She's one of the best I've ever seen, and I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about herself. Welcome to the panel, Mrs. Jane Levitt. I like to call her Dr. Levis.
Thank you, Marvin. Oh, such kind words have never been spoken about me. You are such a sweetheart. And I am so thrilled to be here with your audience. And appreciation is such a wonderful topic. So just to let everyone know a little bit about myself, as Marvin said, I'm a coach and a consultant, and I work with leaders who want to take their leadership to a new level, and they've got teams that they want to empower, because they know that if they have high performing teams, their company is going to grow. It's just a law. If you have a high performing team, your company is going to grow. And I would love to talk to you. I gotta throw the plug in for my podcast. So I have a podcast called Leadership Reimagined, and we're on summer hiatus, so we're replaying some of our sessions from last year. And Coach Powell will be on one of the first ones when we come back in September. So make sure you're listening.
I'm so excited to get loaded up for that podcast. I can't wait to share with everybody. We have such wonderful conversations, Jane and I, and it's just amazing to share. You know, they say when great minds come together, magic can happen, and it really does. It seems like when we get together and talk, it's like both of us can just go and deliver so much. I think I pull, iron sharpens iron, right? So I pull stuff out of her, and she pulls stuff out of me, and it's just, you got to check this thing out. This is an amazing, and the show's always amazing. It's really amazing when I'm on it, but it's
absolutely.
Okay, so Jane, we're gonna take you back to the backstage and enjoy the food back there. I mean, it's lovely back there. I know.
It is. It's the best backstage I've ever been on before.
All right. Next up, we're gonna introduce a wonderful lady. She has an amazing book that's just dropped. Her and her daughter have put together just amazing tool, and I think this is more. It's such a great opportunity for to teach people character development, to teach people, how to be the best that they can be at a young age. And it's a great book. It's more, I would say, more even than a book or storybook. It's a book that shares the lessons of life that I think we all have to learn just to be better people. And I can't wait to introduce you to Miss Sharon Brown.
Yay! Thank you so much, Marvin, for having me. And this backstage is amazing. I feel like I'm here supporting our super rock star, Coach Marvin Powell. So thank you. So I'm Sharon Brown, and my daughter and I we just wrote a book, and we're in the launching phase of it. I will show you a picture of our book right there. It's called A Heart of Gold, The Greatest Gift. Now, this story is about this little girl who has a birthday party, and she invites her animal friends, and she has her wish list, but when they come to the party, they each go through an adventure to get there, and they bring her a gift of value. So, for example, Luca the dog gets invited, and he's so excited to go to the party, but then he gets a couple days later invited by the big dogs to go bowling, and he's like, oh, but I've never been invited there. I really want to do that. So he wrestles, and then he decides, you know what? I gave my word, and he's going to go to Sam's birthday party. So he goes, and he brings with him the gift of loyalty. So what's funny is I was talking to a gentleman yesterday who said, oh, that happened to me in my business. I scheduled a meeting, and then something better came along. And so I chose the better, and I rescheduled. And I said, wait, what? I said, maybe you need our book for loyalty. And after we got off our Zoom, he ordered one within 5 minutes. But yes, and so they create in Sam all the value, the gifts, create in her a heart of gold. In the back of the book, there's an activity sheet for the kiddos to figure out their heart of gold and how they're presenting that to the world. And they can write in there, and then their parent will be able to give them the Olympic medallion medal that we personally designed to put around their neck and celebrate them. So it's heartofgoldforkids.com, and we are just so excited talking about appreciation. Marvin, I so appreciate you and all of your listeners and everybody out there, anybody who has an opportunity to show positivity to children and help raise them up and raise them with good values, and just let them do unto others. So thank you for having me.
Definitely put a link into the chat as to how we can get copies of that book, because I know everybody's going to want to get a copy. And when you put that in the chat, it's gonna be broadcast live on Facebook and on YouTube. And as long as this recording is up, people can still go to there and get that information and be a part of that. So definitely put that in the chat right away. And in fact, each of you, whatever you want to share with us, go ahead and do that. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Sharon. Looking forward to coming back and seeing some more of you. Okay.
Thank you.
And boys and girls, I got to tell you, the guy I'm about to bring up right now, this cat is the real deal. I love Zurian Bennett. He has produced more books than I think any of us can think about. I mean, he's just a prolific writer. He's an author. He's a speaker. He's a trainer. He's just an amazing human being. He's former Marine. Well, actually, you're never a former Marine. Am I right, Z? Okay, so good to know. And he's a biker here in the Washington metropolitan area, and he's probably going to try to figure out how to get me on a bike one day. I don't know if it's going to happen because the boss isn't going to let me get out there on a motorcycle, but we'll see what happens. All right, welcome to the board. This is Mr. Zurian Bennett.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? My name is Zurian Bennett, as Marvin said, and I had the pleasure of meeting Marvin at Coffee, Tea, You or Me, where he basically schooled me and, of course, everybody there on a number of different subjects, topics, and actually helped out quite a few people. Marvin, as you already know, is definitely a dynamic and knowledgeable individual that has a whole lot of stuff to share. Anyway, I appreciate the accolades, man. It was really nice of you. I mean, I might have grew an inch or something. I might be like 5'8" now. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, what I do is I do a whole bunch of different things, but mainly it's positive self-defense. I've published 5 books that are all titled Positive Self-Defense. So there's Positive Self-Defense for Women, Positive Self-Defense for Men, Positive Self-Defense for Entrepreneurs, Positive Self-Defense for Motorcycle Riders, and Positive Self-Defense for Realtors, or people that sell real estate. And I'm also in the process of writing another 12 books, but now I'm entering into the fiction arena. I have a TED Talk coming up in October. So I'm going to do a TEDx talk, and I'm really looking forward to that. And mainly, I work with a little bit of everybody. I know that that's not really the right way to do a quick talk, but the little bit of everybody is I get hired by businesses. I worked for Google. I worked for the Franciscan Mission Service, the Army, the National Guard, pretty much a whole bunch of apartment complexes, a whole bunch of different things. And basically what I do is I take the positive self-defense, which focuses on 3 areas: mindset, awareness, and then the physical. So it's not just the mindset part, or it's not just the physical part that everybody thinks about. It's also getting people to understand their power, understand their gifts, understand the things that they have the ability to give to others and to themselves so that they can grow on whatever level in which they're looking to grow on. So again, my name is Zurian Bennett, Positive Self-Defense. And again, my website is www.positiveselfdefense.org. So www.positiveselfdefense.org. You can go on there, shoot me an email, a question. I'm always open to help people because guess what? Every time you share something with me, it gives me an opportunity to learn and grow myself. So again, thank you, Marvin, for giving me the opportunity to be on this platform. And I hope that I can help somebody because that's really what we're supposed to be here on earth for. Because if each one of us helps somebody, that's that each one teach one's thing. And that's a beautiful thing. And ladies, I am humbled that you're kind enough to allow me to share the back room and backstage with you. Thank you.
All right, save me some donuts back there, guys. All right. So as we've talked about earlier, today's topic is really about recognition. I want to share with you a little bit about how I came about even studying and thinking about recognition, because it's been something that's been a part of the programs that I deliver for years. And I first began to think about this, and it's really relevant for what's going on with my world today. I was attending a lot of funerals, maybe about 15 years back, and I started to recognize that there were a lot of information that I was learning about friends and family members who had passed, and it was the first time I was hearing some of this information. It was the first time it was becoming a part of my consciousness, their stories and pieces that people saw in them and perspective that people saw in them that I didn't get a chance to share in. And it was the first time I was hearing it. And I thought, man, this is a shame. We really need to do a better job of representing the talents and the gifts that people have before it's too late. And so it broke my heart. I wrote this program called the RAP approach. And RAP is an acronym. It stands for respect, affection, and praise. And it reminds people how important it is to give people the respect, the affection, and praise as soon as you can, as soon as it is in any space, and there's never such thing as too much. Because I think that our stories and our lives deserve that kind of recognition. Everybody does, especially entrepreneurs, because it's very difficult to do it, very difficult to live a life that has business associated with it, because people so often think of your world as a double pronged thing. They think you're up to something because you might have something for them to buy or purchase, or there might be something that them you might benefit more than they benefit from the process, and they're trying to figure out how they can get more and more and more out of you. And I think sometimes it's very difficult for entrepreneurs to really share their gifts in a meaningful, powerful way, because they do have a product or service that they probably need to sell. And that's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with having something that's valuable and worthy of sharing. And everybody that I brought to the panel today is that kind of person. They have people that have products and services that are extremely valuable. And the markets that they find, and the markets that they develop, and the markets that they work with, really deserve everything that they can bring to the table. They really deserve to hear from them, to be a part of them. And this leads me to the second part. As I began to discover how important it is and how difficult it is for people to actually present themselves, their ideas, and their thoughts in a meaningful, powerful way. And I realized that, we've been taught our entire lives to be humble, and that word has been misconstrued in so many ways that we have sort of dimmed our own light. Instead of us really showing up and going, I'm great, I feel great about what I just did, or how positive I am, we're told to, sit in the corner and be quiet and don't really stand out and don't take the spotlight and don't suck the air out of the room, because, everybody else needs an opportunity. And if it's all about you all the time, then no one else will get any time. And I get that, that scarcity mentality that comes along. But unfortunately, when it spills out and we have entrepreneurs that don't know how to stand up and be recognized and be counted, then that makes their business suffer. And their business suffers, so does the community that's supported by their business. And so for me, recognition, appreciation, affection, praise, all that stuff is critically important. Now, most recently, I've taken a deep dive into all things recognition. How do we do it for employees? How do we do it for ourselves? How do we do it for others, so that the benefits that we've been able to uncover can be shared? And I think that's very, very important. And so as I looked into it, as I studied this, and I think you can get to my latest training document here in the chat. I already put it in there. If you can't get to it, do me a favor and either raise your hand or tell me somehow, some way, so I'll know. I'll repost it if I can. Let's see. There we go. I know sometimes when you're doing a live event, you can't always go back and see what was posted in previous events, at least before the recording started or something like that. So I want to make sure that it's there for everybody. Do me a favor, if everybody, you guys can see that in the chat, can you raise your hand? Let me know if it's okay. All right, fine, fantastic. Do me a favor, go ahead and download it and take a look at it, because that way you'll know where I'm coming from and what's going on. And as I'm moving through this topic, because I really want to make this, a conversational opportunity, more than just I'm going to show up and throw up all over you and tell you some stuff that, I think is important, that may or may not be relevant in your world. So let's get started. The power of recognition. Right up front, in the training manual that I put together a little photograph, a little illustration that I think really says what needs to be said about recognition and how important it is. I know some of you all may not be, Bible fanatics or anything like that, but I love taking quotes from the Bible, because I think that it's offered a world of information that people have studied and recognized and wrote far beyond, anything else that I know or recognize in today's universe. And so I start with a quote most of the time, and this one comes from Proverbs. In Proverbs, it says, "Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it is in your power to do it." And I want to sit and reflect on that for a second. How often do we see amazing talent and gifts displayed in various different ways and feel like that was the best thing I've ever seen? This is one of the most important people that I've ever had a chance to be around, connected to. I feel the connection. I feel the audience, the connection. I feel a part of something really, really special. And then that moment gets passed on by. And the person who helped bring that moment into fruition, for some reason, never understood the power that they brought to you, the meaning they brought to you, the significance or relevance that was brought to you in your life in that moment. Like I said earlier, when I wrote the rap report, I was thinking about all of the people that have poured into my life, that have given me so much, but I wasn't able to, at the time, give them what I thought appropriate recognition for a job well done. Maybe I was a kid in college or in elementary school, or I was in my first couple of corporate jobs, and I had these great leaders and managers who, trained me or sent me to training. They've not had the benefit of understanding and recognizing the full gift that they've given to me, because I didn't recognize it at the time for what it was. I didn't recognize at the time for how I was supposed to respond and react, and I didn't want to blow up their spot or make them have a big head or anything like that. And so I held that information. And it saddened me to know that maybe some of them have passed and gone on, and I didn't have an opportunity to share with them what it meant to me that they took their time to teach me something, or they took their time to share something special with me. I always think about that. And that's why when I wrote the rap report, a rap approach, I remind people that it's not about, rap is an acronym. It stands for, oh my God, I can't remember the things that I put in my own program. Respect, affection, and praise. It's affection. It's not just acceptance or understanding or, I'm going to be something, I'm reasonable. No, it's affection. It's there because I think we need more of that. We need more true emotional connection to the people that we are gifted with, just an understanding and display of their talent. How many times what's going on? The Olympics are getting ready right now, right? So everybody's, you're seeing YouTube videos of these powerful presentations that are being delivered. And, you just want to reach out and hug these people because, like, wow, I can't believe you jumped that high, or you flipped that well, or you ran that fast, or whatever that was. And we all have this whenever we see a great performance. We all have this understanding that we've just seen something special. We saw somebody break a record. We saw somebody do something amazing with their talent, their gifts, and they've shared that with other people. And they look amazing, and it's amazing. We need to recognize that. And that's the time when recognition really, really counts. Could you imagine running a race, winning it, and there's no applause? There's no cheering. After all the years of preparation, all the time spent practicing, rehearsing, doing whatever you did, and there's no validation for who you are. So there's another quote that I have here right at the top of this document is, this is from me, and I truly believe this. We are all called to recognize our gifts and talents and to share them openly with those who deserve to be blessed by them. It's reaching out toward our acknowledged destiny, allowing others to grow, become their best selves, and see God's favor in their lives. When we do this recognition piece well, amazing things can happen. The first question I asked as I was going through the research for this is, how do you claim that? How do you claim your time in the sun? When do you deserve it? And how do you know you've earned it? And I think that when a lot of business leaders put together presentations or proposals, or sometimes when there's an opportunity for us to share, we don't recognize the work that went into the moments that we're now creating or a part of. We just take them for granted. Somebody goes to a meeting and they go, introduce yourself. That's great. However, if you think about all of the time and the effort you spent into creating whatever you're creating, whatever you're sharing, and you don't give us the benefit of that backstory, if you don't tell us, I've been working on this so long. I got my PhD. I've been doing this so well. I have developed an approach that's so unique and so special. I know you can't find it anywhere else other than here. They're so unique. It's so special. If you don't take that time to acknowledge that gift, that talent that you have created and honed and developed, or someone else has helped you create and hone and develop, then I think you're doing a disservice to the moment. Because a lot of times we see something great and now we can't believe it. But when you share with us how it was developed, when you share with us, like, I've been at this for a while now. I've been doing this. This is my 1,000th presentation. People hear that, they go, oh, wow, okay, well, that's why it was great. That's why it was amazing. And that becomes the reason why they trust you. That becomes the reason why you become valid. I think that it's such an amazing thing that, we've all been given talent. We've all been given gifts. We've all been given whatever capabilities we have. Either we were blessed with them as a natural course of who we are, or we were trained and developed those things by other people, other resources. However, we have arrived at the moment where we arrived at, we deserve to be recognized. And we shouldn't dim our light. We shouldn't dim our thoughts and our mindset or anything when it comes to that, because yes, you are being humble, but you also are not helping people connect in ways that's going to bring honor to the gift that you have. And so there's a balancing act. Yes, you deserve your time in the sun. When someone passes you the mic and says, go for it, it's your time and you need to represent, you need to show up. I was reminded of all the things I'm talking to you about today, so I might get a little emotional because I came back from a funeral of a friend of mine. And I heard the family say amazing things about him. And I watched the mother stand up and present and share some amazing stories about her son. It was just the person to even have the strength of character to be able to not just speak, but to sing at her own son's funeral. What does that say about her character? What does that say about who her son was and what it meant to her to be able to share her gift, even in this moment of grief, even in this moment of bereavement? She was able to pull herself together, bring those tears, get those tears out of the way, and bring honor to her son in an amazing, amazing performance. It's something that her grandkids will never forget about their father. The moment that the entire family was together and all the friends were together, and mom, great mom, grandmom, my mom, stepped up and delivered the goods. It could have been a poem. It could have been a speech. She really didn't even have to do anything to be the grand matriarch of her family, to show the kind of leadership that was expected from her children and so on and so forth. But she did it anyway. This is what I'm talking about. Talent deserves its time in the sun. And when the opportunity comes, you need to be able to step up. Okay, does any of our panelists have anything to add about anything? Just go ahead and raise your hand. I'll bring you on stage and we can talk about it. Any thoughts you want to share? Jane, bring it.
I really love what you're talking about and sharing, which you're giving us the opportunity to share. And with appreciation is always a form of sharing. Because when you just say, I appreciate you, it's nice. But when you really say, I appreciate you for the opportunity that you gave me, or your being here listening to me today, and you're really valuing them and their time.
Absolutely. I can't think of a better way. That's why that's the word I was looking for, because I replaced appreciation in the rap approach with affection,
Yeah.
because it's that emotional connection, I think, that makes all the difference in the world. And I want to get away from people going, I appreciate you. No, don't do that. Just tell me you love me. I love that. That's so much better. That means what you actually meant to say, but you were afraid to say it.
Exactly, which actually brings me to another word: vulnerability.
Absolutely.
Being vulnerable, and let your audience, let people know how much they mean to you and what this means, what this opportunity means. And even if you're scared, let them know that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Amazing as always. And I want to share with you a quote that means so much to me, and I want you to think about it. Ludwig Wittgenstein, I can't say that word. I can't. It's horrible. Ludwig Wittgenstein said, "Knowledge is in the end based on acknowledgement." When you know something and you share it with other people, not only are you giving them the benefit of what you know, you're explaining to them and helping them understand that the reasons that you know what you know are so powerful that it was worth you sharing it. And so I always say to people who are presenting anything, if you've learned something, if you've experienced something, if you've become a part of something, share not just what you know, but where you got it from. Who told you? Where did you? What's the validation for what it is that you're talking about? When I start talking about emotional intelligence and I start talking about Dr. Danny Goleman, you know that I'm talking about a source of information, a piece of wisdom that I've been able to glean from somebody else. It's not about me, but I'm a conduit by which this information is being shared, because I haven't learned anything. I don't know anything. I haven't created anything. If I do create it, I'm going to tell you I created it. But most of the things I know and have shared and come up with is a conglomerate of things that I've picked up through experience, or I've picked up through learning, or I've read somewhere else, or I've sat in the training course, or I've been a part of some experience that helped me put the pieces together. But I have to give honor to the source. Because if you don't give honor to the source, then I think that you've done a disservice to your own gift, whatever honed it, whatever gave you the credibility, the validation that you should have. If you don't pay attention to it, if you don't give honor to it, then I think you're doing yourself a disservice, because people don't know that you went to this great school, or you read this amazing information, or this is where they can go and validate the information that was read. So it's very, very important. If any of you all want to, again, share anything with the listening audience, make sure you put that information in the chat. Make sure you put your phone number, your contact information. I'll definitely give you a shout out on the screen here and all that kind of stuff. But the question I think a lot of people ask when it comes to this recognition piece, how do I recognize myself really without feeling like or doing something that's the wrong thing? How do I stay humble, but also get the recognition and appreciation that I deserve? And I say this: at the end of your program, at the end of your presentation, this is your moment. And this is the time that you're expected to talk about yourself. Think about every movie you've ever seen. Think about every show you've ever attended. When does the star take a bow? When is the audience now allowed to come into the universe of the presenters and see who they are, where they're coming from, what their name is, all this stuff that shows up at the end? Now, you might get a couple, notes ahead of time, but that's not during the presentation. The presentation is about the presentation. You show up and you take a bow at the end. That's when people want to know Who are you? What's the name of your company? How long have you been in business? How can I trust you? How do I know? How do I validate that your experience is your experience? That's when it matters. That's when that information can be shared and should be shared. Imagine, you doing a wonderful presentation to thunderous applause or excitement and energy. You could tell by people, their body language in the room is letting you know they're into it, they're feeling you, they're with you. And then you just walk off the stage, never to be heard from, never to be seen of, never to be, that's horrible. So at the end of your presentation, that's when you have to show up. That's when you have to be recognized. And if no one has left your phone number, or if no one has talked about your email address or how to get in contact with you, how to move this thing forward, then what people have witnessed is a great presentation or a great opportunity, but no way to engage any further. And you don't want to have that happen. You always want to have people know, okay, this is where I go to pick up the book. This is where I go to the next training session. This is where I go to figure out, or if I need either further communication or I have questions, this is where I go to keep this thing going. I don't know how many times I've seen motivational speakers, they get paid a lot of money to come in and drop this wonderful motivation, this wonderful opportunity, and it's all, everybody's excited, everybody's ready to go, we're all ready to go, but that's it. We don't get any more. We don't get to play with them anymore. We don't get to come back at them anymore. We don't get to go, okay, if I have any question, what I need to do, and because the honor of that goes to the people who sponsored the presentation, or who are part of the association, the organization, and it was just, that's just what it was. A quick story that I will promise I'll get back on topic. I once had the opportunity when I was very young in my fraternity to meet Mamie Brown's baby boy. Anybody know who I'm talking about? Les Brown. I had a chance to meet Les, and he did a presentation. I think I was maybe 21 at the time, and it was a 75th anniversary of our fraternity here in Washington metropolitan area, and Les was a keynote speaker. And I waited in line in the queue like I was supposed to, and I told everybody after he's finished, and I was like, thank you, Mr. Brown. It was just a wonderful presentation. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. He looked at me in my face, and I recognized that of all the people that he had talked to previous to me, because you see how he's talking to people, and he was in line, that everybody's in line to say something, right? He said to me, "You're going to be a motivational speaker one day." Now, at the time, I was an architecture student at Kent State University, and that was the furthest thing from my mind that I was ever going to be on anybody's stage ever, talking about anything, sharing anything other than, here's my plans, here's my designs, and you need to purchase this because this is what you paid for. And isn't it exciting? That's about all I was planning to ever do or say, right? And I thought, this guy's a nut job. He's crazy. I'll never be in front of an audience. I'll never be talking to people about something that I think is exciting and motivating and blah, blah. That just won't be me. I'm not built that way. Well, it turns out, years later, I got a chance to meet Mr. Brown, and I said, you know what? You were right. But what is it that made you think that that's something that I might do? He says, I could tell just by the way you carried yourself. You thought that, I saw you enwrapped in the audience. Other people were just maybe had, they were shifting around. They weren't really paying attention, but you were fully engaged. And I knew that you were going to get everything that I was talking about, everything that I was saying. I've done this so many times, and I already know. And I say, when I tell you that, this is something that I can see it in you because of how you responded to me. So I say this to say, don't be afraid to share your gift, because you never know who might pick it up, and you might mentor to some part of their subconscious that they don't even know is there yet. And they're not aware of it. But you get to see from the master level. You get to see from the level of mastery, because you've spent the time doing what you do. You spent the time learning what you've learned. Now you can see it in them. I know Z agrees with me, because he's raised some powerful children, and to see the feedback and to see them grow, he can sit back now and go, wow, I'm not sure how I did that, but I know I did it. I probably could do it again. Anything you want to share with us about that, Z?
Yeah, you're actually right. It's again trying to point people in the right direction, including your children, and sharing with them the things that they need to be that need to be shared with them, and also making sure that they understand how they're supposed to be treated by them around them, so that they can move on to that next level within their lives. Because all we can do is show the way and try to be the best example that we can be. And in my particular case, luckily it worked out. Pretty good. It worked out to the positive for my children. Um, Marvin, if you don't mind, I'm gonna try to make a real quick story short. Ready?
Go
All
for it.
right. Um, I have a daughter named, we call her Jelly. I don't want to give her a government name because of what she does. But anyway, when Jelly was in high school, she had just finished the 11th grade, was going into the 12th grade. She was walking down the hallway of her school, upper middle class high school in Northern Virginia, and she's walking with her boyfriend. And as she's walking with her boyfriend, some kid comes running down the hall. Well, the kid stops, turns to the boy, hits him, knocks him down, and knocks him out right there in the hallway, in the school, in front of everybody. And then the kid turns to my daughter, puts his hands up at my daughter's face, and my daughter's not even 5 foot. All right. The boyfriend is 6'1", but Jelly's not even 5 foot. And he puts his hands up in her face, and Jelly knocks his hands out her face, hits him, boom, 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 kicks him, takes the kid out. So long story short, we end up having to go to court. So we get to the courtroom and we're waiting for them to call the case. And there's a cop coming down the hallway. So the cop looks at me, looks at my daughter. He stops. He goes, "Excuse me, sir, is this your daughter?" And I stand up. I said, "Yeah, it's my daughter. Is there a problem?" Because of the mannerism in which he used when he said it. So he looks at me and he goes, "It was amazing." He's like, "I was the officer coming down the hall." He said, "I saw everything." He's like, "Before I could say dog, cat, kiss my foot, the one kid hit the other kid. The kid then turned to your daughter. Your daughter knocked his hands out of her face, hit him, boom, 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 and took him down and hit him." He said, "I've never seen anything like that. It was amazing." That day, again, I was about 5'8". I grew at least an inch. But again, that was the things that I had tried to instill in my children, that that it doesn't matter their size, it doesn't matter their color, it doesn't matter their sex. It matters who they are, and that they need to almost demand respect because they're giving other people respect. And it's a beautiful thing, and that's added to my children being around other adults, and those other adults saying, "Oh my God, your children are so well mannered." Again, I just laid some foundation there, but they accepted it and then took that to the next level to be the people that they are. And just as an FYI, my daughter is still under 5 foot, but we'll not say she is an intelligence analyst and a threat analyst for one of the number one government entities in the United States. Thank you, Mark.
That is amazing. I'm going to bring Sharon on, and I'm going to tell you why. Every time I've met Sharon and talked to Sharon, she has always paid honor and tribute to her mother, who is another supercharging, wonderful professional. In fact, they work together in the same business. And the fact that she's now has a book that she put together with her daughter, I want you to see the lineage of recognition.
Yeah.
The game plan doesn't change, one to another, to another, to another. And I know they have that the character and the values of this family is just an amazing, amazing thing. And now that, Sharon just wrapped it up and put it in the book for all the rest of us to enjoy. So it's a great thing. It's a great thing. What do you think about that, Sharon?
Oh, it's such an honor. So in the business that my mom and I work with, we're about protecting businesses and individuals and families. And people will say to me, "Oh my gosh, I just love your mom." And I'm like, "I do too." We're just so super blessed. And people will say like, "Oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine working with my parents," or "You vacation with them too. Wow." I'm like, "Well, yeah, we all love each other." But yeah, it is. It's about honor and respect and unconditional love. And absolutely. So I'm part of the mother-daughter team there. And then on the other side, part of the mother-daughter team with my daughter. And it's just such an honor and such a treasure and a joy to be able to work on both sides with them. So, yeah,
So
powerful.
the reason why I brought her out here, guys, is for this. And you need to recognize, I need you guys, everybody in the listening audience, to recognize this. When you recognize the source, there is no stopping the power that comes after that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're just thinking that you did this by yourself, you're in it for yourself, you're in it with yourself and by yourself, you've lost your mind as far as I'm concerned, because that's a myth that I think our Western society quite often has produced to let people think that somehow they're alone. Somehow, if they don't do it their way, then it's their way or the highway. And, you know, nobody does it by themselves. Nobody, I say this all the time, nobody is great alone. It's impossible to be great alone. And you might have that foundation of good character, but if you don't share it with the right people, if right people don't know it, right people don't understand it, they don't sort of ride with you, then there's only so far you can get in life and in business. And that's why, you know, I wanted to make sure that, you know, as I talk to entrepreneurs about recognition, that you understand that you wherever you are, however you arrive, you didn't get there by yourself. And if you pay attention to the source, if you make sure you recognize the work that was done to help you become who you are, then not only do you pay honor and tribute to them, you give everyone else the reason they need to have to pay honor and tribute to you. So true recognition in this regard is really about recognizing the gift that others have given you. And then all of a sudden you get the credit. How cool is that? You know, how cool is that? And study after study show that employees leave organizations, people leave associations, friendships are broken because we don't recognize each other. We don't give the attributes and the time that needs to be given in the moment as often and as much as possible. And that's so super important for those of you who lead teams, those of you who are participants on teams. You need to be recognizing people around you. You need to be, you know, giving each other a pat on the back, attaboy, hear it, you know, every once in a while, just step up to, you know, the moment and go, you know, I see you. I see what you're doing. What you're doing is really special. Who you are is really special. There's a word, domo arigato. My good friend Darren does a presentation every year about this word. And he always tells us what it means. And around about Thanksgiving time is when we really start thinking about this, right? We may think about it and we may think that it means thank you, but that's not what it means. What it really means is it couldn't have happened without you, right? So think about that. When you say to someone, to say thank you, okay, that's great. That's also that's along the lines of the appreciation thing we talked about earlier, right? But when you say, you know what, this moment is so special, and I love it so much, and it couldn't have happened without you, it has a different timbre. It has a different meaning. It has a different character to it. And it teaches people that they matter. Instead of teaching people that, you know, you're just a part of the system. You're just a cog in the wheel. You're teaching them that they matter. I want to look at our audience for a second. I got some friends out there that I want to give a shout out to, and we're going to move on with our presentation. Mr. Scott's out there. Scott Walcott is like a super amazing, super talented cost engineer, one of my good friends, and he just says hi to everybody. It's very, very important. He also agreed with me that quote is pretty nice, right? That quote on Proverb is at the top of the document on Google Drive. That's what he's sharing with somebody else, because Paris asked the question. And Paris is another new guest. Paris, why don't you tell us, where you met, where you found out about the program, and I'll definitely tell people who you are and all that kind of stuff. If you have a business or something that you want to let us know about, I'll definitely make sure we talk about that. Other than that, we're going to keep the party going and keep on rolling. We're talking about what do you say And how do you say it at the end of any presentation that you give? And there's a great book that I want to make mention to you guys, and it's in a document. It's on page 3 of document at the bottom. There's a book called The 7-Second Marketing by Ivan Misner. I read this book many, many years ago, and I thought it was an amazing tool to help people understand how to put together your closing words, closing phrases that you may want to use at the end of any presentation that you might give, that actually recognizes who you are and what you bring and what you deliver and what you bring to the table. And one of the methods I suggest you use, and again, that's in the training, is you answer the question: what do you do, who you do it for, and why? Real simple. My name is Coach Powell. I help entrepreneurs find better ways to create more focus, more energy in their life and their business so they can be supercharged with their productivity. That's it. Simple and sweet. What do you do? More importantly, what the benefits are that you deliver, to who. Just a quick statement like that says everything it needs to say. And you may not have a lot of time to tell people, I've got a PhD in this, that, and the other, or I've been doing this for 35 years, and I've won the national award for this, that, and the other. You may not have that time. If you only had 7 seconds, what would you say? And I love that. It's one of those great opportunities that you have to really, really open up and be recognized for who you are. But you have to do it correctly. If you flub it, if you don't hit the mark, then you may sound like you're bragging. You may sound like, or even worse, you may not give people an opportunity to connect with you. And so part of you doing that is you need to be warm and you need to be inviting. That's a characteristic that any presenter has to have. If you might be presenting what you think is information, but actually you're presenting yourself. Even if you're telling a story about something else, you're still presenting yourself. And you need to be warm and inviting. You need to be the kind of person that people want to follow up with. And the only way to make them, to ensure that it happens, is to give them the opportunity to follow up with you. So you have to give them your name, maybe your phone number, your email address. How maybe they can get on your email distribution list. However they can get to and connect with you, you need to give them this information. Because again, think about it. You just wowed your audience. You just wowed your target audience. They're all falling over with joy and happiness. And it's what's next. By identifying who you are, telling them who you serve, how you serve them, and then how to get in contact with you, you're closing the loop and inviting them in. I would even say, ask them to. I want you to contact with me. I want you to interact with me. I want you to engage with me, because that makes all the difference. Because you might be dealing with an introvert like me in your audience. Don't laugh. I am an introvert. Right? But you might be dealing with somebody like me who, I'm not going to step up unless you invite me. I don't care how wonderful your presentation was. It's not going to happen unless I'm invited. If I feel like I'm invited, and I mean specifically invited, you have to say, hey, you brown kid, you the tall guy over there, you come and talk to me after the meet. That's how you get me to engage. But tell me something tell the audience something that speaks to them. So if you tell them like the one I just gave you, right? If an entrepreneur is in earshot, all of a sudden they go, oh, that's me. Wait a minute. What do you do for entrepreneurs again? He helps them focus, get to more energy, and oh yeah, that's me. Now, if they didn't know at any other time during my presentation that I'm talking to them, which, by the way, that would be a sinful shame, but if they didn't know at any other time that I was talking to them, now it's time they recognize themselves and go, he's talking to me. And I need to do something about this. Now, what do you need to avoid? Okay, because this happens all the time. I see it happen all the time. People give a presentation and they go, yeah, and I help this person, and I help these people, and I help those people, and I help these people, and I help these people, and I help these. And they give you this laundry list of people that they say they help. Okay, even if you do, my brain cannot handle it. So let's say I was one of the persons that knew somebody that you could help. What you've just done now is you've let my brain know that there's probably 1,000 people who can do what you do. Because you just gave me an anybody, everybody approach. That's nothing meaningful and specific that says that you can help this specific group of people. You can help this specific target audience in this way. So I need to know that. That's what I need to recognize about you in this moment. Yeah, I know that if you got 1,000 different products and services you sell, or the product and service itself can do so many things, you want to try to say it all. Never, never, never do that. Because it shows that you don't know your audience. You don't know who you're talking to, or you're given a presentation that's a generic anybody, everybody type of presentation that won't make anybody feel meaningful, anybody feel specific. And you want that. Zig Ziglar said this: throughout life, you have a couple of choices. You could be a wandering generality or a meaningful specific. I love that thought process. And I put it in all the training, right? Everything I do is really talking about how do people feel special. They can't feel special if you're not talking to them directly. They can't feel special if it's not meaningful to them specifically. And so you have to be really specific. You have to say, hey, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. You guy with the hat on. You. I'm talking to you. Right? If you don't say that, if you don't really be specific about who you're talking to and address them in a way that's kind, all right? Don't be a butthead just like I was, right? But be kind and say, I work with these type of entrepreneurs, or I work with these type of individuals. And earlier in the training, we talked about how to call out the right type of target audience. That was, I think, in session number 1. We talked about how important it is to understand and know your target audience and speak to them and only them. Because if you're talking to everybody, then you're talking to nobody. And people can't feel important. If you have any questions, guys, feel free to put them in the chat as we move on. I'll make sure that we recognize any questions you may have. There's a lot of information, a lot of training in the document that I share with you. And I kind of want to share a little bit of that with you guys. I mean, there's lots of quotes in here from, great quotes, the Bible, and, how you deal with the etymology of this principle and all that kind of good stuff. I mean, it's a lot in there. But I want to share with you, it's one of the greatest examples I have is here in the training on page 13. I help people when it comes to creating their own recognition statements and their own language that they need to use to recognize themselves. I give them examples of what's on my LinkedIn profile. And so that you can go through there and go, okay, how is it, then use it as an example. How is it that I share with the audience that might be reading my LinkedIn profile who I am? Do I do it in a meaningful way? How is it that I share, the validity of what I bring to the table? The legitimacy of what I bring to the table. And if you look at, what I have written there in my LinkedIn profile, I think you'll see that, I purposefully put the kind of information and the language in there that answers those kinds of questions. Those are the kinds of questions that you have to answer whenever you put together any type of presentation, whether you're writing it, something that someone's going to read, or something that somebody is going to hear from you. You need to answer the question: who are you? Are you really who you say you are? Are you all that you need to be? What makes you real, right? How are you real? How are you here? What makes it, what you're offering or what you're telling us, valid? How do we know that you're giving us the right stuff, right? How do we know that it's legitimate? that it's not just, you're not going to be somebody that's here today, gone tomorrow. You got to answer those questions in your presentation, especially at the end, because that's when they really want to know this information, right? You've just wowed them, you just bowled them over. Now they want to know. Think about, like I said earlier, think about the movie credits. When do you see who did the sound check? When do you see, who did the graphics of this wonderful movie, or all of the fight scenes? You see them at the end when they're rolling the credits, because that's when credit is due, at the end, and you should get credit. One of the things I brought out in the training is how important it is to be recognized for for the work. If it's just the effort, maybe you haven't achieved anything great yet, but your effort deserves to be recognized. And if no one can see how many hours of practice you put in, or how many push-ups you had to do, or how much effort that went into you learning a technique or a strategy, then whose responsibility is it to share that information so that you can get the recognition that you deserve? Guess what? It's yours. Because if nobody shares it, if there's nowhere to share it, here's what I'm trying to say. If you can't get somebody else to share it, then you have to, because you deserve the recognition. So many times, I don't know, I deal with this a lot in the world of coaching and training. I bump into people who are literally depressed, and they think they need coaching, but what they really need is therapy. Now, having said that, is, the reason why I say that is, when you're depressed, you cannot see what you bring to the table. You cannot see why you matter to each other, to other people, so you can't see it. So you definitely can't express it. If you ask a person who's depressed, what's good in the world, they can't come up with anything. They can't come up with anything because they don't know how to recognize and appreciate people and things around them. That's why they're depressed, right? So if you try to force that person to recognize this is wonderful, this is great, they're gonna look at you like, what are you crazy? This sucks. This is horrible. That's the language that they can use. And so it's important that you understand that as a trainer. I often bump into people who they ask me, well, why can't you help me? And I tell them, well, I can't help you because something in your past is causing you not to be able to see the gifts of your present. And if you can't see the gifts of your present, we can't build upon the gifts of your present to help you get to the magic of your future. And so I need to suspend coaching or training right now. I need you to go report to our local therapist to help them. They can help you uncover why you can't see the gifts of your future or your present because of the issues of your past. And you need to uncover those things. You need to deal with those things, and then put those things away in a place that's safe for you, or wherever that is. So then you can now see. The veil can be lifted from your eyes, your life, and you can now see what's going on in today, real time, that you should be thankful about. Because recognition starts with gratitude. You can't even recognize yourself if you're not grateful of what it is that you bring to the table right now. If you're not sure that you matter, it's hard to convince others that you matter. So I always tell my entrepreneurs and my friends and my associates, what is it that you bring to the table that is good? You cooked it up. You were in the kitchen. You knew you knew what you were doing. You put it together. You asked God to help you deliver it. Okay, here it is. Tell us, and don't be shy about it. Because at that moment, that's when we want to know. Superman needs to show up. It needs to be a fait accompli. The last thing I'm going to say about that is think about, for those of us who are old enough to remember, the Lone Ranger. The Lone Ranger would come in every single episode and do his daring do. And it would be amazing, right? He'd get rid of the bad guys. He'd save the day. And then he would leave. And at the end of every episode, somebody would ask, who was that masked man? And at the end, he would raise up his horse and have his hat in his hand, and he would say, the Lone Ranger. That's when the hero was recognized. At the end. After everyone else understood. Now, Underdog came in, did the same thing later on. Superman did the same thing. You know, all of the great ones, we saved the best for last, and that's when you should show up. Okay? So again, read the training, read the manual. Hope you enjoy it. It's free for your pleasure. If you have anybody that you want to share it with, feel free to do it. You know, yes, it's my stuff, but I give it to you freely to enjoy. I'm going to bring our studio audience back in, or our panel, this audience back in for any last minute thoughts or ideas they may want to share with you. And then we're going to close this party down, and I hope you guys had a great time. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Oh, Marvin, you are just wonderful.
I'm sorry. It's my mother's fault.
We'll let her take all the credit.
She told me when I was very young, you're the greatest, you're the smartest, you're the brightest, you're the handsomest. And somehow it sunk in, and I kind of believed her. And now I'm trying to figure out how to convince everybody else that my mom was right. This is really difficult.
You've got us all.
How you say, then I must be real lucky, because one day Martin wrote something and he's like, Zurian is brilliant. I was like, holy crap. I moved up on that evolutionary chart, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
So Marvin, I'm just honored to be here, and I so appreciate you having us. I love you. And it's something else I wanted to say is that what I find is in sharing with people, and whether we're sharing our story or where our things have come from and how we're building up, it kind of brings them in to be part of our team. Makes us more personable to them, but it also inspires them. And I've been getting that a lot lately. People just listening to a story, or as I'm talking to them, they're like, wow, that really inspires me. So that's exciting because it brings something out in them where they're like, oh, I can do this too. Or, you know, and that's so encouraging to be able to share that gift and spread that love. So I appreciate your talk and everything you've been saying.
I say this in the training, you know, it's about performance. Mm-hmm. All performance does exactly that same thing. Every time we witness something amazing, we feel good about the potential of our humanity.
Yes.
And then, you know, the question now is, what can we do with that?
Right.
You know, if ever, like Zurian will understand this one, you know, if I ever watched the Ali fight, you know, and then Ali could talk to me and go, this is how you can do it too. How amazing would that be? You know, I'm the greatest, but you can be the greatest too. And here's how, right? But it's not, that's what we have to do in our presentations. We have to invite people into that greatness so that they could keep the party going, so to speak. You know what I mean? Any other thoughts,
You're
guys?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Sharon,
need to. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Zerini. Oh, now we're going to argue about who's going to go last.
Well, since I went last first time, I guess I should do it this time. It's also all about us actually sharing our gifts and remembering each other. I mean, most of the gigs that I've gotten that have been amazing, most of the TV stuff that I've done or the newscasts I've been on, it's been from somebody that I helped, could have been 2 years ago, that because what I said resonated with them, they got something out of it. And then basically they were like, I've got the perfect guy for you, you know? And I mean, again, it's about giving and it's about contributing in every way that you can and not being shy to step up or be willing to help somebody else, you know, because your light's not going to shine in a lot of people's minds. Their light's not going to shine if they point to your light. They don't understand that if you can make my light a little brighter, if I'm a real person, I'm going to share as much as I can with you because I'm thankful. I'm thankful and humbled that you were kind enough to remember me and include me and to help me to grow so that I can help others. So that's pretty much it for me. But it's a beautiful thing. When people are excited and you see, like you were saying earlier, Sharon, and you see that what you said moved them or made them step forward, that is such a beautiful thing. And people don't understand because we're in such a myopic world, where people are walking around with these blinders on and they don't see that if I help the person next to me, they don't have to do anything for me. They don't have to do anything for me. But guess what? Something may come up with my grandchild or my daughter or somebody else, and then I can move that on. And that's really what we kind of need in the world, especially in these times right now. Thank you. Ladies, dazzle me with your brilliance.
And Sharon, Zuri, you said such powerful about share. And Sharon, what you were saying, when you're sharing your story and being vulnerable, it allows someone else to see, oh, that might be possible for me. They get to step into your shoes and be that. And then go share it with someone else. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's about recognizing people and being intentional, being real with people. Like, I mean, even something as simple as going to a restaurant. I always ask what the server's name is. I don't want to say, hey, excuse me, I need water. I want to say, hey, Joe, oh my gosh. And I always go out of my way, or try to always go out of my way, to appreciate them, to thank them, to say, wow, you're a fantastic server. Oh my goodness, you just made my day. And in turn, and they really do make my day, but in turn, it just leaves them with like a little kick in their step, a little brightness, and who knows what they'll go home and share at the dinner table,
And don't you find that because that's what you expect, that's what you get?
Oh, people always live up or down to your expectations.
They don't know your expectations. You walk into a restaurant and you just know you're going to get the best waiter,
Absolutely.
the best server. That's what you get.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I used to tell my staff on my office door, right on the outside of my office door, I used to have a sign up there. And actually, it was a modified quote from Viktor Frankl. And actually, Marvin's actually used it a few times too. He probably used it before I did, and I just don't realize it. But he said between stimulus and my version of it is between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space, we have a choice, the choice to choose our response. In that response lies our joy, our happiness, and our future. And one of my adds to that, what I used to tell all my staff all the time was, choose wisely.
That is so important. I'm so glad you guys came. I'm going to do this every single week. Every single week for Coffee Tea, You and Me, from now on, I'm inviting, because I have so many talented friends and so many talented associates that the world needs to know more about. And so this is a great opportunity just to share you guys with the rest of the world. So I'm glad you came on. If there's something that you want people to know about, I don't know if you did this or were able to do it, but if you want people to find links to you or anything like that, just put that information in the chat, because I got a lot of private chats, but it didn't come out to, and nothing came out to, oh, okay, I see a lot going on in the private chat. I'm just opening up you guys talking to me, right? I did not know. Zuri has a lot to say. But that information did not go over, it didn't go over on the web. So if you can't, you don't know how to put it on the web, is that what it is? You can't. All right. It's my fault. I'll figure it out.
Some of my stuff is actually on the web. I always find a way.
Right.
I say peaceful relaxation is also one of my that's my little relaxation site. So there's all this, water and calming sounds and all of that. So I use that one.
Okay, so
peaceful relaxation.
I found Sharon's post and I pasted it here in the chat, so people should be able to see that. from here on out. Did anybody else? I mean, did I miss anything? I want to make sure, because because this is going to be recorded and it's going to be forever in the annals of history. So anybody can come back and download it and read it and check it out. And if it doesn't show up on either Facebook or YouTube, then again, we're causing problems, and I don't want to cause problems. I want to cause solutions.
So Marvin,
ladies,
I would ask on mine to also share that our website is heartofgoldforkids.com.
Okay.
Because our crowdfunding book sales right now, that's going to come to an end when it fully funds. But heartofgoldforkids.com, where they could find me.
Could you put that link in the chat for me? That way I can just cut and paste it. That way I don't have to.
Yes.
Here's Jane. I see you, Jane. Aha. That's how we do it.
Well, ladies, if I can be of any service to you, please let me know. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. If you go to, again, my website, there's an email there that you can send me anything that you got or questions.
Yes.
Or, feel free. I'm always willing to help. Or if I know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. Never know.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I will be reaching out. I'd love to talk to both of you about being on my podcast.
Absolutely. That would be an honor.
And Sharon, I'm doing a new one that I'm starting in the fall called Ordinary Women, Extraordinary Lives. It's a little different than Leadership Reimagined.
Love it.
I probably won't be able to get on that one, but I'm sure that the podcast thing is huge, because at one point I started a podcast years ago as a joke, just to work on my speaking skills, and I ended up with like 50,000 freaking listeners. I had people calling in from London and Europe and Saudi Arabia. It was crazy. Wow. Ivan Meisner. You guys know Ivan Meisner? Him and his now deceased wife, Beth. They were on my show like 7 times.
Wow.
Wow. I had the guy that wrote not Rich Dad, Poor Dads, Go Givers.
Z, I'm going to call a timeout for a second.
Sorry.
I'm going to end the show, but we can keep talking. All right.
Okay.
So for those of you in the listening audience, thank you so very much for coming out, for hanging out with us. I hope you enjoyed Jane, Zurian, and Sharon. They're all amazing people. Their contact information is in the chat for you to get to. So if you want to email them, I think we have some things from there. And if you want to definitely buy the book from Sharon, and look forward to all the books that Z is about to drop. It's going to be some great stuff out there. We're going backstage, and now we're going to all enjoy coffee and donuts without you all. Broadcast, and thanks again for coming out. Definitely follow, subscribe, and click on Coffee Tea You and Me. We love to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Broadcast.
Take care, everybody.